Hello, my name is Tudor Gallos, and welcome to our roundtable where we'll discuss top things that you need to consider before implementing or migrating your ERP solution to the cloud. My background is a business consultant. In the last 3 years and a half, we've managed over 100 digital transformation projects. And today I will be your host. And I'm joined today by Mihai and Alexandru. Eleonora, sadly, she couldn't join us in the last meeting. She had some technical difficulties. However, let me introduce our guests for today. Mihai Tataran is a longtime friend of mine and is also the owner and general manager of Avaelgo, a custom software development services and managed services provider on top of Microsoft Cloud. He is a software engineer. He's also a former Microsoft student partner. This is how I met him. Specialized on Microsoft technologies with extensive knowledge on Microsoft application platform and the Microsoft Cloud. He is also a Microsoft MVP, Most Valuable Professional, since 2009, and Windows Azure Insider since 2012. Alexandru Dorobanțu is a Microsoft Dynamics professional with more than 9 years experience in Microsoft ecosystem. Since 2011, he has been engaged in business development and project management activities related to Microsoft Dynamics products on the Romanian market. 2 years ago, he was appointed general manager for the Romanian subsidiary of Intelligent Systems, one of the largest Microsoft Dynamics partners in CE. I would like to remind you that this roundtable is an interactive one, so please shoot your questions at any time, and we will try and take your questions during this roundtable. So anyway, without any further ado, let's kick off this roundtable and let's shoot the first question. Mihai, why cloud versus on-prem? And I'm not talking about only ERP, but in general. Thanks.
Sure. So thanks for the introduction, Tudor. Hi, everyone. Why the cloud? Well, it's a trend which is gaining popularity, and more companies are going towards this. There are many reasons to do that. One of them is cost. You usually have lower cost of your IT infrastructure or of your workload application when you go to the cloud because there's less maintenance work to be done. Another one could be security, because however, the feeling is that we kind of delegate partially this responsibility to a vendor as opposed to having our own on-premises data center. That vendor is a very big one, which collects a lot of data about security attacks, which happened or happen live with very many customers, very many tenants. There's a lot of data to gain insights from and do a lot of machine learning, AI, and are able to protect us much better than we are. And better, higher availability, better disaster recovery mechanisms, all in all, better reliability. These are, very generic things. I can add a lot of them. But mostly it's less pain, much better benefit, better benefits, and cheaper to have solutions in the cloud, in a public cloud.
Thank you very much. Well, now we kept hearing this. I mean, all the advantages that you presented, but let's factor in ERP. Well, the implementation of an on-prem solution can be a lengthy and arduous process. On the other hand, it is said that, as Mihai said, cloud solutions come with a lower implementation time frame. Alexandru, what do you think is the reason for this?
Okay, thank you for the question. So, in my opinion, there are two things that stay at the foundation of these statements. So, the first one would be that the customers have changed their mindsets. And of course, the other one is related to the actual technical innovation. But going back to the customer's change of mindset, it's clear that with the pandemic and everything, leaders of today's effective enterprise software projects, they focused on digital business goals and try to reach them faster. Back in the day, the best product at the right price usually won the market. But today, speed to market, agility are the main goals as customers try continuously to reach innovation. Now, going back to the old-fashioned on-premise software world, this process usually starts by gathering requirements and then trying to map the on-premise product to the actual customer requirements. And at the end of the day, hope for the best. In the cloud world, the requirements process is in a way product-led. So basically, companies and business owners realized that it is a good idea to map your business and your expectations to the best practices in the market in your, let's say, industry vertical, and try to reach best possible business processes available via cloud tools instead of doing dozens of customizations. And of course, now talking about software as a service and cloud environment, we need to understand that nowadays there is a wide range of developed applications, apps, designated for a particular ERP in cloud, designated for a particular industry vertical, and they're ready and they're actually on the shelf and they wait to be used and to be discovered instead of using time-consuming developments in order to cover the possible gaps. So this would be, from my point of view, from the customer's perspective. Now, from the technical point of view, of course, we all know that technical environment for cloud technology nowadays can be configured in almost a day, in 24 hours. The fact that cloud computing eliminates the need of purchasing and installing additional hardware, additional software, and updates are now done by the manufacturer of the software, so it's without human interaction, so to say. And last but not least, the cloud provider usually takes care of the upgrades and the maintenance of the ERP systems. This kind of activities back in the day usually required significant resources and even sometimes system disruptions. So to conclude, yes, we can say that an implementation of a cloud ERP, if it is done correctly and if the customer understands it and is ready to be flexible and to adopt the new, let's say, the new way of thinking, can lead to rapidness.
Thank you very much, Alexandru. I have another question still for you. What do you think are the biggest blockers in cloud ERP implementations, from your opinion?
To be honest, there are, let's say, customers or even future customers that currently work on-prem, so to say, and they actually want to go into cloud, but they actually don't know why. They usually go into cloud because this is the way to do it, and this is trendy, so to say. But is it how we call it a lift and shift approach? So basically trying to move the exact legacy system and how it currently works into the cloud. And this implies large data transfers and legacy system connections that can generate surprising costs. So basically, in order to surpass, let's say, this bottleneck, I think we first need to ask ourselves, why are we doing this? And then consider revising your analysis, your way of doing business, as much as possible, of course, and orient your efforts towards business value instead of mechanical implementation. And another thing which is related to what I actually said earlier is related to trying to move into cloud the way you are doing some things that are outside the best practice and the standard functionality of your current system. So, in our words, trying to move the gaps into the cloud. So, when my opinion, and my advice when migrating to the cloud, it's worth taking a look at how these prepackaged solutions, the apps that I was mentioning about earlier, can provide you with the benefits you have been looking for. And try to think a little bit out of the box as for the on-premise system that you are trying to leave, so to say. But yeah, to conclude, a major bottleneck is this lift and shift, and trying to move exactly what you are doing and what you are having at this moment into the cloud as it is. Because in this case, I don't think it will bring you much benefit.
Thank you very much. We have pulled up a poll right now to see what people in the attendance think about this. What would be the biggest challenge when considering an ERP solution? And we have a few answers, too many options, which is very true, too complex. Which again, yes, it is quite complex, because cloud is indeed something new. And talking about the cloud, Mihai, you are actually a cloud evangelist. Cloud really looks quite attractive for companies today, and also, as Alexandru said, many companies move to the cloud without actually knowing why, and that's very, very true. But however, we need to take into consideration the moving of costs from CapEx to OpEx. But the tough question that is on everybody's mind is, do we still have control of the data once we upload it to the cloud? What do you think, Mihai?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So first of all, in terms of who owns the data, what are the roles regarding our data, things are very clear. Now I'm talking about Microsoft more specifically as a cloud provider. They are not the data owners, they are the data processors, as they are defined. These qualifications are defined in the GDPR set of requirements, which Microsoft Cloud, of course, implements them. So from the GDPR perspective, from other standards of security and data compliance and sovereignty, things are very clear. It's our data. Microsoft is only a processor of those data, of that data. Now, there could be, in some occasions, very restrictive national laws on top of GDPR and all the standards that we have. Things like, I don't know, things which prevent data to get out of the borders of the specific country. Those things have to be treated separately. But in general, our data in the cloud is our data, first and foremost, and I explained that already with those standards. Second, we know exactly where our data sits, right? Again, I'm talking about the Microsoft Cloud, which I know and understand much better than the others. We have very strict controls and traces and audit logs, etc., etc. We know exactly where our data sits. It doesn't happen that, for example, we upload data into West Europe or I don't know, somewhere in Europe, and by mistake, by someone's mistake, the Microsoft Teams goes into the US on the US soil. It's only when we decide to move that data that it can go outside of the borders that we have to rely upon. And all those, transitions or movements of data are traceable. We have audit logs for everything. And third, even if Microsoft basically operates the cloud system, and when we have things like an incident with our system which sits in the cloud, it could be our Dynamics installment or anything in Microsoft Azure. When we require assistance from the Microsoft engineers, they get just enough and just in time access to resolve our ticket, our problem with the data. Even if they see the data, it's only just enough and just in time access, which will be revoked afterwards, and all that access is traceable. So we're pretty safe from all of those perspectives.
Thank you very much, Mihai. Alexandru, if we factor in ERP, how will the customers perceive their control of the data once it's in the cloud and not in their backyard?
Well, if you ask me, when we say control of the data, we basically refer to security, to loss prevention, and access control. Going to security, everybody needs to realize that a cloud host's full-time job is to carefully monitor security. And while most businesses don't like to openly consider the possibility of internal data theft, for example, the truth is that a very high percentage of data thefts occur internally at the employee level. When this is the case, it can actually be far more safer to keep our sensitive information off-site. Imagine that cloud providers like, for example, Microsoft, like Microsoft Azure, employ large, highly experienced full-time security teams. They offer multi-layered security strategies. Security software is always updated, it's patched, and all these services are promptly done. So if you ask me, it would be far more safer from the security point of view to outsource these services to entities that actually do this for a living. It's far more efficient than a conventional in-house system where an organization must divide its efforts of I don't know, dozens of daily IT concerns. So, and security being only one of them. Another thing is loss prevention. So when you have your data in-house, it basically resides on your computers, on your servers, so on your hardware. This may not be a problem at the first glimpse, but if your hardware actually experiences a problem, you might permanently end up losing your data. Computers may malfunction, they can get, I don't know, viral infections, and the actual theft. Imagine that a 2 years ago study pointed out that over 10,000 laptops are stolen from the major airports weekly. So yeah, this can be seen as a possible and as actually as a certain threat. Another thing that comes into my mind is data corruption and even hacking. With a cloud-based server, for example, all your information is uploaded to the cloud, remains there, it's safe, it's easily accessible, if you have, of course, an internet connection. And you can access it from almost every kind of device, not only from your computer. One more thing is that the cloud ERP is constantly and rapidly backed up. It has complete services in relation to restoration, for example, if a disaster, let's say, strikes. Also, data is distributed across multiple servers in multiple geographic locations. So this makes it very hard for cyber attacks or to locate a specific company and to try to corrupt its data. And last but not least, access control. Cloud ERP users, if not every one of them, but most of them interact with the ERP through a web browser. And thus you avoid installing particular software or hardware on the PC. And this eliminates, in a way, totally device-related threats. So, yeah, for me, and during my discussions with my customers and my possible customers, when we try to cover this topic, we usually try to reach these points: security, loss prevention, and access control.
Thank you very much. Let's ask now the public and see the results. We put a question in the questions tab in the Q&A, and let's see some of the results. What do you think, as an attendee, that is the best benefit of moving to a cloud ERP solution? So what do you think is the best benefit of moving to a cloud ERP solution? Let's see the result. At this moment, it's 50-50. Okay. It's very interesting that a lot of people perceive security and uptime as the best benefits, but I think that also moving the cost from capex to opex is a great opportunity of the cloud in this case. Well, the question now, the tough question, is coming to affordability. We heard a lot of customers and a lot of companies are saying that ERPs are plainly super expensive and that they cannot afford. They cannot afford not only the license, but also the customization, the hardware, everything. How does cloud change this paradigm, Alexandru?
So basically, I think most of the things that have been said today have a role in explaining this. As I said in the beginning of our discussion, once the customer changes his mindset and is willing to adopt the best practices in an industry that are put together in a particular ERP system. From this moment, things begin to be easier and thus less expensive. And we should not talk only about the license cost or, I don't know, the implementation effort. Basically, there are a dozen of, let's call them indirect hidden costs that all combined together can become a burden to a company when adopting such a system. And we need to take into consideration also that in order to try to map a system entirely to your business logic and your way you are doing things, this engages not only the partner that delivers the implementation to you, but also your internal resources. And this can generate a huge indirect cost. Imagine the cost that is implied only to take your best, let's say, process owners from your company, to take them out of production and sit around the table with our consultants, for example, and try to explain how they are doing things, and then try to map everything to map the solution on their exact flow, and then to discover gaps, to support heavy developments and things like that. One thing that I would like to stress out is one of the benefits that come from this conversion from CapEx to OpEx is that premium products, premium ERP products, now have become to be available, if I may say, to smaller organizations that until now could not afford, not only financially, but logistically, so to say, to adopt such a system. Imagine that you don't have to support heavy upfront investment in licenses, for example. You do not have to onboard specialists for keeping the infrastructure, to invest in hardware, into activities related to this part of such a project. So now, basically, being a service, because it is a service, it's software as a service, you can not only you can focus on your daily activity, you can focus on your actual business, and you can get a grip and a sense on your costs. And if you add on top of this the fact that if you choose the right solution, the out-of-the-box functionality of that solution may be a very good fit to your organization, you'll also have a clear understanding and expectation on the investments.
Thank you very much. I would like to remind you that you can ask questions at any time. Here are the results of the poll. Quite interesting. The fact that now IT investment converting from CapEx to OpEx and improved security are the top benefits perceived, and of course uptime and accessibility. But scale, yes, not yet, because we don't have many enterprises at scale at this time. Another tough question, which is coming from the public at this point, don't forget to send us your questions, is, and I'll address this to Mihai, if I'm implementing cloud, won't I risk being fired? And I think this is a question coming from an IT person, because I heard this perception in the past related to the fact that, you know, if cloud is implemented in the organization, the whole IT department might be fired because there is no need to take care of the solution is automatically somehow magically managed by somewhere outside. What do you think, Mihai?
Yeah, that's actually one of the questions that we get most of the times when we engage with a new enterprise, which is developing a strategy versus or towards the cloud. And this is a very fair question, because people don't really understand what changes for them. And it is the job of the people of the companies who are doing the implementation of a migration to the cloud or an ERP system implemented in the cloud to explain how their jobs change. And in a nutshell, and then I'll give you some details, but in a nutshell, the roles of the IT people just change. They can do different things with much bigger impact for the organization. And they are, they're still very useful. It's just that probably their day-to-day job has to change. Now, there are in any kind of digital transformation project, you should be able to define a roadmap to create or to convert the skills of the current people towards what you need in the future after the migration or the implementation of those systems has been done. And just to give a few examples, if today you spend a lot of time managing some virtual machines where the solution is hosted in your own data center, tomorrow you're going to be focusing more on aggregate monitoring data metrics and be able to configure those metrics, those monitoring systems to improve the availability and the response times and the incident response time of your organization. If you're a developer, just developing, writing code and then deploying on a local virtual machine, tomorrow you also have to learn a few things about DevOps and how to release continuously or very often into the cloud. So, everybody's role changes, but they are much more useful for the organization, if you might say so, because a larger portion of their time is going to be dedicated on real business value, as opposed to maintaining some machines that you need. Those machines are maintained by somebody else. And now we can really focus on driving real business value from the IT team as well.
Thank you very much. I have another question that we kept receiving in the past. It's about migration. I mean, a lot of companies already have solutions in place, so which of course many of them are let's say older. What is the message that you, Alexandru, can give to those who are asking, how about migrating my SAP implementation or Siebel implementation or I don't know, other ERPs which are in the market and maybe older? How can I move them to Microsoft Dynamics in the cloud? How can you help them?
This is a rather tough question, and I'm telling you why. This question also has been applying for years now, and is not directly related to the cloud ERP, but actually when you try to adopt a new solution that is on a totally different system logic than your current one. What I usually tell my customers is when you are trying to adopt a new solution, see it and perceive it as a totally different new implementation. And of course, does not mean that all your data is lost. So basically, all the static data that you currently have can be easily migrated into the new solution. But try not to do that with your dynamic data. In order to, of course, because you need for reporting purposes to have access to your historical data, from my perspective, the best way is to keep the legacy database and take into consideration applying a BI tool that will consolidate the information from the old system and the new system.
Thank you very much, Alexandru. Now, here is an interesting question for Mihai. I think this one will be. how did work from home change the behavior in terms of cloud implementations? And I think this is mostly from the security perspective, because now with work from home, employees can access sensitive ERP data, which in the past, you know, if ERP is the on-prem, you have your own technical security solutions like internal network. You cannot access the ERP from outside the organization and so on. But now with the new work from home paradigm and hybrid environments, you need to access the data. How can cloud implementations, usually not only for ERP, but in general for SaaS solutions, how can we make sure that we maintain the same level of security for an employee at home when just like he would be at the headquarters?
Yeah, I think there are two questions over there. So first of all, the whole pandemic accelerated the adoption of technology very, very, very much. Probably we did in 6-9 months what we would have done in 3 to 5 years. Globally, especially in the West, Europe, and the USA. Why? Because people are forced to work from home and they need access to their enterprise applications, be it ERP or something else. If with a traditional approach or the old approach, that system was on premises and assumed that everybody's coming to the office and can access it internally inside the network, now that cannot be done. The immediate kind of solutions that enterprises were looking at was have a VPN point to site, some kind of connectivity from everybody's own laptop from home to the enterprise, to the premises. And that poses a lot of issues. One, performance issues, because you get into bandwidth problems, you get into internet provider limitations, you get into performance issues because of so many VPN connections running simultaneously. So performance for a large organization is simply not possible to have something decent. The other issue that this approach would pose is the security itself, because now you have tens, hundreds of people connecting with their own laptops from their own home or from a vacation location or from, I don't know, some unsecure location, connected into the enterprise applications, but also into the network. And unless you're able to be extremely detailed and focused on implementing solutions like multi-factor authentication, password rotations, and so on and so forth, which involves a lot of cost, you're going to have a lot of security vulnerabilities. So from that perspective, the other approach, which is much simpler, is to simply move those enterprise applications into the cloud. And we've seen last year, so the top two changes in terms of what is moved into the cloud were, one, the adoption of collaboration tools, so Office, Teams, etc., Zoom, and so forth. And the second one was implementing VDI solutions, because the fastest way to move an enterprise application without any kind of transformation, without just lift and shift and give everybody access in a VDI environment, in a virtual desktop environment, so they can access their enterprise solutions. And that was a very fast, knee-jerk solution with low risks on security, low risks on performance. It's scalable. And now they are moving towards transforming and really implementing the solution as it should be long-term, which is using more platform as a service functionality, or in case of ERPs, more SaaS, more towards SaaS. So I guess that was the first question. How did the work from home accelerate this? And the second question was, if I remember correctly, regarding the security. And I think I covered both.
Yes, thank you very much. Alexandru, Microsoft just launched in Romania on April 1st their cloud ERP solutions. How will Dynamics 365 Business Central change the marketplace? Because it's the former Dynamics Nav, and now we have a new denomination and of course a cloud implementation. How do you see the market of Dynamics 365 Business Central growing in Romania?
So as I said earlier, this is a very good opportunity for smaller organizations that were not able through various reasons to adopt a premium solution to do it. In my opinion, Business Central in Cloud, software as a service, has become available and affordable without losing any of its complexity, of its rich functionalities, and its consistent logic. So I see it as an opportunity for these kind of companies to adopt quickly and with ease and with not such a considerable investment effort in terms of budgeting. Of course, having in mind the things that I tried to highlight earlier today in our discussion, to try to understand that the system over the many years of its existence and through its development and usage by thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of users and companies from different industry verticals, has gained a great deal of best practices. And if we are willing to take into consideration the best practice and to follow as much as possible the system logic, we will end up having a great product, a premium product that is now far more affordable than it was, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. And of course, I'm not talking about the new technologies that it has built in, and of course the rich portfolio of new functionalities that were not available in previous versions, in previous on-premise versions, of course.
Thank you very much. What would be the top 3 steps, the first 3 steps that a company should evaluate before moving the ERP to the cloud? So let's say, coming to your mind, Alexandru, the first 3 steps.
So the first one is to get a sense on how your business is done and to properly inside your organization to map internally your business flows, and then to have a good idea and a good overview on how things are actually done in your company. And then to try to find the best fit in terms of functionality and system logic within an ERP, whether it is Dynamics or anything else. The second one should be the implementer, because there are a great deal of implementers that implement a various palette of enterprise resource planning integrated systems, and you should find the one that best fits your organization, that best fits your industry vertical, that has expertise in that industry vertical. Because even if you say, okay, I don't care because I want to follow the system and to have an out-of-the-box implementation, on the long run, it is better to have by your side an implementer that actually understands your business. And the third one is actually to, with the help of your partner, of your implementer, to actually understand the implications, the risks, and try as much as possible to have a set a scope of the project and to determine or at least have a good flavor of the TCO for this project. But the most important thing to conclude is to know what you are asking for from such an implementation.
Thank you very much. Mihai, you worked on both sides of the ocean. How well prepared is the Romanian market for a cloud ERP solution based on your experience with generic cloud implementations?
I would be, more optimistic than the rest of the market probably, because we tend to think that we are way behind the US and West Europe in this part of the world. And that might be true at very large enterprises or large enterprises, because the U.S. market, the U.K., Germany market, the very large enterprises are very, very into the cloud, but the small and medium businesses in the U.S. are not. So here I would see that a small and medium business in Romania who I don't know, they are doing something, they are producing something, they definitely need an ERP system. If they think they don't afford to buy one, they should think about, do they really afford not to buy one? Because they have competition, they need to control everything over there. So small and medium companies in Romania are a bit more digitalized than the similar entities in the US. That was my experience 2 years ago, 1 year ago. It's not the same thing with very large organizations where things tend to be a bit different. But I'm very optimistic in that sense. There's no other way around. I mean, if you want to get out of this pandemic, the potential financial or economic crisis which some of the industries go through or will go through in the next years, if you want to resist in the local market, but also in the competition in the region, you have to implement IT systems. That's the only way. Is to be more efficient in what you do, and one of the things to do that is to implement an IT system. And I think the small and medium companies are beginning to be much more, inclined to do that. And I don't think they are so reluctant on using the cloud. If you see it at users in everybody, people, they use a lot of cloud solutions already. And I think the pandemic accelerated this as well. The easiness to use, all the conferencing tools, all the collaboration tools, that will only help implement enterprise solutions as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Mihai. Alexandru, any final piece of advice for companies that attended today's roundtable on how should they approach this opportunity? Is it an opportunity for them? Should they wait? Should they move now? Should they contact you now?
Yes, it definitely is an opportunity, and I think that first of all, they have nothing to lose by contacting us. We are here to help. We are here to cater for their needs. And by all means, if they do not know at this moment if it is okay to turn left or right, or to go forward, or just to stay still and see what the early adopters end up doing, their investment now is merely related to their time. So basically, we actually ask them to invest a little bit of their time, to contact us, to have a discussion with us, to share with us their fears, or to explore together the areas that are still, let's say, gray. By all means, yes, they should try to better understand how the market is going, what are the actual benefits of digital transformation, due to the fact that at least Romania was, let's say, to find the right word, it had the right success in order to be granted the opportunity of being able to deploy Business Central system software as a service. So I think this is a chance and opportunity that, if not everybody should take, at least to receive more information about it. And of course, we are here to help do that.
Yes, thank you very much, Alexandru. I would like to remind everyone that there is a great offer in the market. You'll see a link. If you are an existing Dynamics customer, you'll have a 40% discount on the normal price of Business Central Cloud. For example, an essential license is 35 euros versus 59 euros, the list price for Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. So I think it's a great opportunity. Please make sure you click on those links and that you follow up with the Intelligent Systems team. Mihai, any final word for today?
I would just encourage everyone to, consider implementing ERP solutions. Now, me and my company, we're a service company, so we don't, trade thousands of SKUs per month. We have 20 invoices, 30 invoices that we send out every month. But next year, we're going to implement an ERP system. We already have invoicing financial systems, of course, a CRM system, but we also do that because it will help us, set the correct foundation to scale, because we're going to be able to measure much better all the, financial performance of all the departments per products, per services that we offer. So if we as a services company, we're going to do that next year, I encourage everybody, especially if they manufacture things, to do that. And I think now is the best time ever to implement such enterprise solutions, because the access to them is very, very cheap. You pay per use, you pay per, whatever you have the level per month. Yeah, so I think that would be a very good conclusion from my side.
Thank you very much. I would like also to encourage everyone to download our guide, learn more about the ERP in the cloud. We have the link in the live event Q&A. Make sure that you check out all these resources, that you partner with the iSystems Group. As a final word, I would like to thank our guests today, Mihai and Alexandru, for this great roundtable. I wish you all the best. From my side, I would like only to add the fact that now is the time to move to the cloud, because your competition is already doing that. Companies are moving faster and faster to the cloud, and they are doing a lot of digital transformation activities. And if you wait, you'll be left behind. So you need to move it now. As everyone said, COVID-19 accelerated this business transformation today. So you need to act today and evaluate the solution and the migration plan. I would like to thank everyone for attending this roundtable. Please make sure you check out our other roundtables in the future. Alexandru and Mihai, thank you very much for attending today.
Have a good day.
Great
Thank you.
day ahead of you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.